Old Minecraft servers. Some of the most popular videos and channels on YouTube are centered around them. That being said, much of what's publicly known and many of the videos you see have only really talked about two of the game's oldest servers, MinecraftOnline and 2b2t. What's most interesting is that both are not actually the oldest out there. In fact, there are another 3 servers which rival their age, one of which being an entire year older. And these servers have some seriously interesting history to them, but are still so unknown. So today, I'm going to explore with you and uncover the 5 oldest Minecraft servers, and I'll be telling you their history and information about them along the way. We'll be going through in order from newest to oldest, and I guarantee that you will be surprised. So, let's begin. Alright, so we gotta get this one out of the way first. 2b2t, the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft. I'm sure you already know a lot about it, and because you probably have heard about the server so much, I'm going to keep this section brief so we can actually get to the more interesting servers. 2b2t began in December of 2010, created by the infamous Housemaster. As the server is anarchy, hacking, griefing, offensive language, you name it is allowed. 2b2t is often considered the second oldest Minecraft server, as its map has not been reset since it started, but it is actually the youngest server on this list, as every other server has been operating for longer. The server is also by far the most popular of all servers we'll be talking about today, easily getting thousands of logins each day, so much to the point where they needed to implement a queue. The server has rich history, with much left to explore and discover over the massive unrestricted world. Some of the biggest and most interesting bases have been built on the server, displaying its community's dedication. And while the community is undeniably toxic, what makes the server so special is the groups which have formed, and the events such as incursions, solely organized by players that have shaped the server. In a community so deadly, the lights that shine through are truly the brightest. One of my favorite things about 2b2t is the Spawn Masons server archive, which is actually a separate server run by the Spawn Masons group. Here you can find in-game archives of various famous builds, and some of them are truly incredible. Alright, now that we've got that out of the way, let's begin talking about some of the more unknown servers. Miner.org is probably the second most unknown server on this list, but is also probably the most unique, as unlike the rest of the servers we'll be covering today, it's not a survival server, but rather a challenge server. Before we get into it though, consider subscribing, and come check out my own server where we're bringing back the classic style of Minecraft. Anyways, Miner.org began on October the 22nd, 2010, and is the oldest challenge server to exist within the game, dedicated to parkour, adventure maps, and challenges such as puzzles and mazes. The server has been running the same world since its inception, and many older challenges and builds from then are still playable today. What makes the server so unique is not only its history and decade-old parkours, mazes, and challenges, but also its interesting approach to gain access to features on the server. If you want to gain build rights and be able to submit your own parkours and challenges, you have to gain membership on the server first. The only way to gain membership is through completion of hardcore challenges, which as I discovered are actually very difficult. And the only way you can get access to those difficult hardcore challenges is to complete standard difficulty maps or challenges and gain points. So those who acquire membership are referred to as green players and are well respected in the community because it takes quite a lot of effort to get there. Those who complete certain challenges and maps are also able to obtain rare cosmetics, a gift given to them for their accomplishments. The server is very community driven, containing over 400 different parkour courses, challenges, maps, and puzzles, all built by the active community of players. Due to the server's age, some of their challenges and player builds have been completed well over 100,000 times, meaning that it's likely they have been played by hundreds of thousands of unique players. Truly incredible. These days, majority of new challenges are located on their newer creative world named Theta, but that doesn't at all detract from the server's unique history. It's also very active, and they get anywhere between 50 to 100 players online in peak times. Running competitions and events regularly, as you can see on their website, helps keep the community active and gives them various rewards and prizes to aim for. The server is also in no way pay to win, and has actually been entirely donation free, self-funded by the owners for its entire decade lifetime. It's a very healthy player-driven community, exemplifying what a Minecraft server should look like. The next server we're going to talk about is likely the most unknown of the bunch, Crazy Fools UK. The server, based in the United Kingdom if you couldn't tell by the name, first opened its doors all the way back in 2010, the 4th of August to be specific. Unsurprisingly, this is also the day Minecraft Alpha version 1.0.15 was released, the first version of the game which introduced survival multiplayer. The SMP features a variety of unique plugins like their shop plugin, and it's clear that over the past decade, the server has differentiated itself from others. Notably, they were one of the first servers where you would have to link your account to their forums in order to build, a method implemented to counteract griefing. They were pretty crafty, especially for the time. On YouTube, there are some videos of the server dating all the way back to 2010, and they were actually one of the more popular servers back then. Anyways, while we look around their survival world, I thought I would tell you a bit about the server's history, as stated on their website. The first week the server was running, the uptime was horrible, and also due to the fact that Minecraft wasn't nearly as secure, the server encountered many cheaters, who utilized even the most basic of cheats to ruin the survival experience. It wasn't until about a week later that plugins began appearing that helped protect servers. The server was initially run on a Windows 2003 computer with only 8GB of memory, suffering frequent crashes. However, it still managed to draw many players, once again leading to the problem of griefing. So, to counteract the griefing, the server went semi-private. As I mentioned earlier, they have a unique method of connecting your Minecraft account to your forum account and thus email, which is required to actually build blocks and interact with the game. This successfully helped reduce the number of griefers, and according to their website, they managed to build a community of over 1,500 members after not too long. But later that year in October, the server shut down, only to open back up again a few days later on a more powerful computer and managed to once again build an active community. To this day, the server is still up and running, and while the current map is not the original from 2010, it's still 6 to 7 years old, with a rich and interesting history. According to players, the older maps were reset due to dupe glitches, as well as just general resets to allow players to explore new chunks, but they do have renders of some of their old maps from 2011 on their website, which are very cool to look at. When I logged on to explore the server, the players were very nice and friendly, and were happy to answer my questions. It felt like a very mature and welcoming community that kept active by hosting weekly events. Overall, it really felt like a blast from the past, and I definitely recommend you check it out. Speaking of servers which began on the same day that Minecraft multiplayer first released, MinecraftOnline currently is most commonly recognized as the world's oldest Minecraft server, due to the fact that they are still using the exact same map they started on, all the way back on August 4th, 2010. Named Freedonia, their SMP world has never been restored or regenerated, and has currently grown to 30 kilometers in diameter, or 30,000 blocks. The server has seen over 230,000 unique logins, getting hundreds of new players every day. Almost like a museum, the server is very serious about preserving their history, and has an active and dedicated staff team that will protect their server if players think they can get away with griefing. What I personally like about the server is their dedication to still providing a pure survival feel, where they don't give out any items for free, and all the resources used to build were obtained legitimately in survival mode. They have many builds all around the server with an active community, and recently updated from 1.7.10 to 1.12.2, after running on 1.7 for 6.5 years. Once again, like all the servers we have been talking about today, the community was very welcoming and friendly, as is common of servers with more mature player bases. Besides having the longest running and oldest map to date, the server also has other unique features and plugins, and was the first to have a game-linked IRC channel. Now, due to the server's age, it has a lot of history, and they have done a really good job of keeping majority of the events and occurrences documented, as you can see on their wiki page. They've kept track of everything from moderator and admin promotions to plugin additions and ban milestones, leading to some amusing situations. While browsing through the timeline, I saw a documented case of a moderator reaching a ban milestone for the server of 39,000 players, only to be demoted a week later. There is a lot of history to uncover here, and as such, I'm not going to be getting into it, but if you're curious, you can read the wiki yourself. What I did find very cool was some early screenshots that display what certain locations such as spawn originally look like, and it's very fun to contrast and compare. To this day, MinecraftOnline is still an active server with a community dedicated to preserving the vast history it has acquired, a true artifact of the past. Now, this might come as a surprise to you all, but what if I told you that the real oldest Minecraft server began on June the 10th, 2009? You might be confused, as even I mentioned earlier that survival multiplayer wasn't released then and wouldn't come out for another year. Unbeknownst to most, multiplayer Minecraft was actually first available all the way back on June the 8th, 2009, in classic version 0.0.16a. Back then, however, Minecraft was still being played in the browser, and this version of multiplayer was basically a version of creative mode on a tiny restricted map with limited blocks. Nevertheless, communities began forming, one such being the MC Public or Nerd.nu community. Back then they were small and casual, just building and enjoying themselves on their classic world. They often reset the map every week or so, due to its limited size, and as such, unfortunately many of these old classic worlds have been lost to time. That being said, there is recorded footage of their creative worlds from March 14, 2010, and they have publicly accessible world downloads of their 7th revision or map of creative, which began all the way back in September of 2010. And since then, they have archived the majority of their maps and have well over 30 different maps of creative alone. Nerd.nu was one of the first Minecraft multiplayer communities, and for some time was the official Minecraft subreddit server. As the game further developed, they would release survival multiplayer alongside their creative server. Their survival server was very popular at the time, with developers such as Jeb and Dinnerbone visiting them, and many videos being created on them, some of which have hundreds of thousands of views. Alongside their creative and survival server, they also ran a PvE server, which is basically survival, but without player versus player combat. Their PvE server has a long history of over 25 different revisions, first dating back to early 2011. PvE is still one of their most popular game modes today, and has an active and healthy community. So you see, while Nerd.nu no longer use their oldest maps, or don't have the longest continuously running maps, they're clearly the oldest server, because a server is more than just a map or world is running, but also the community, players, and history associated with it. If you want to check out their extensive history of map revisions, then be sure to go to their website, where they have archived the vast majority of them. One thing I loved about many of the servers we talked about today is that the communities feel exactly like they used to all those years ago. You see, most big servers these days have very boring or stale communities, and majority of minigame servers have a very lifeless feel. I can't count the number of times I've joined a server and asked for help just to be ignored, but the servers we talked about today were all very friendly, and their communities are definitely very mature. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe and follow me on Twitter, links are down below. Thank you all so much for watching.